from a pamphlet entitled So You've Discovered the Ability to See and Manipulate the Fundamental Building Blocks of Reality, originally published in 1974 and remaining in circulation until 1998, at which time all copies were collected and destroyed after it was discovered that the text had been infected by an umbral parasite. Congratulations! If you've received this pamphlet, you have recently joined the ranks of the awakened. You are probably seeing things you have never been able to see before, and doing things you have been told were impossible. Impossible is a word you should remove from your vocabulary immediately. As a mage, a wielder of magic, a worker of miracles, you have access to untold power. However, without some kind of structure, you will find that power difficult to put to use. Luckily, there are a number of mystical traditions and arcane organizations at your disposal to help you develop your practice. If you turn this pamphlet over, you will find a listing of some of the largest and most accessible of these groups, along with their specializations and cultural synergies. Turn the pamphlet over a second time for a complete list of addresses and telephone numbers. You are probably noticing that some of these traditions seem contradictory. This is the wonderful and confounding nature of our art. What may look like witchcraft or alchemy in the hands of one practitioner may manifest as strange physics or improbable technology in the hands of another. You are free to choose the tradition that appeals to you. Some terms and conditions may apply.
In the decades and centuries since its great tragedy, the city of Salem, Massachusetts has become a sanctuary for the strange, the unusual, and yes, the supernatural. Werewolves, vampires, fairies, mages, and other more esoteric things now walk the streets in relative safety. And when the mortal population gets too curious, they do what any community would do. They form a committee. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Gallows Hill, and it takes place in our version of the World of Darkness, the setting that encompasses Vampire the Masquerade and all its sibling products. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play 8-Ball, a vampire with mental health issues and an assortment of fake IDs, and joining me this season are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I play Mew, a mummy cat who's into urban planning and sacred geometry.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Jack Foxglove, a werewolf shaman who coaches the Salem High School football team, the Salem High Witches.
I'm Ethan Bremner, and I play Mother McCree, an immortal Irish witch and American Civil War veteran.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Truly Reynard, an animalistic fairy running from her past, sometimes literally.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asbruce Jackson, the storyteller.
Now, let's get started.
So when last we left off, I believe the plan was that y'all were going to have a meeting to talk about what just happened and maybe what you're going to do next. And you were going to go back to your office on Tuck Alley, right?
I thought we were meeting at Jack's house for a barbecue.
Oh, you're going to Jack's house?
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me. Okay. Going to Jack's house.
Because this is...
the house.
This is stuff that we're interested in talking about, but that isn't really the purview of the Sanitary Commission, so...
We are officially off books right now.
Yeah.
So it's a good old February nighttime barbecue.
Uh-huh.
Officially unofficial.
You know, like you do. I mean, I think that's not that out of the question in Salem. All right, Jeff, talk to us about Jack's house.
So Jack's house is kind of been here for a real long time. Like it's definitely not like a historic place, but it's old. It's been lived in. It's white. It's got that white siding on it. It's got black shutters that don't actually shut. Mm-hmm. It's like a single-story house with a 2-car garage. It's got a swinging like storm door, but it needs to be fixed. There's a lot of dead leaves on the ground. And yeah, it looks like a chilly winter's day at his house. There's not really anything that stands out about it other than the fact that it's just pretty normal. Like you would not guess that a werewolf lives there.
And whereabouts is it?
It is near the high school. It's a couple streets down. Yeah, it's in a residential area. A couple streets up, I think there's a main drag.
Okay, so somewhere in one of the urban neighborhoods in Salem.
Yeah.
So it's your game, folks. How do you want to conduct the conversation? Are you actually going to barbecue?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we get to the house, and Jack rolls up the garage door. The garage door it's not electronic, so it's one of those things where he sticks a key in, twists the handle, and lifts it up. And there's a grill on the side of the house. It's an unfenced yard. He kind of rolls it out around the house into the front, in front of the garage. In the garage, you notice he's got 4 deep freezers that are just kind of sitting in there. There's not a car, but there is there's a pickup truck that's parked on the side of the street in front of his house. But there's no cars, there's no evidence of a car in this garage. It looks almost like a living area. There's a couch in there. There's a TV, but there's just a lot of freezers here. And also a regular refrigerator, a big regular refrigerator. So he goes after he rolls out the grill and kind of takes off the cover, and he throws the cover in the garage. He asks if anybody wants a beer or anything to drink. He just asks if anybody wants a beer. He doesn't ask if anybody wants to drink.
Sure.
So he goes into the garage, grabs enough beers for everybody. They're Bud Lights. And he passes them around. He goes into a deep freezer. He pulls out a cellophane wrapped pink glob of something, and starts getting the grill ready to go. But he's got to get the charcoal in there, and he's got to heat it up. So that's what he's doing.
8-Ball gives the Bud Light a mild side eye, but does not criticize because it's free. And she also gives all of the deep freezes a bit of a side eye for a different reason.
Amal looks around, finds a bowl or a dish or something, opens the beer and pours it into the dish for Mew to drink. Amal does not have one.
All right.
Mother McCree holds up her hand, obviously turns down the beer, of course, immediately pulls out her tin cup, pours out her awful coffee into it, and a piece of hardtack, and starts eating it, because that is what she does at social gatherings with food.
Does Truly have a beer?
Truly does not have a beer. She's good.
All right.
8-Ball leans over to Amal. Do you not drink, or do you just have taste?
I don't drink. And that is all I will say.
Cool.
So what are we going to talk about, McCree?
Well, I thought we'd start talking about whether we are acting as a sanitation commission or as individuals, because if we start attacking random citizens like our feline friend here did in the sewers, under the auspice of the sanitation commission, I fear that we are overstepping our bounds. Now, I am not averse to acting outside of established governmental affiliations, but when we are acting within those government affiliations, we should be behaving according to our allowances. Don't you think?
Did you go at someone in the sewers?
I did. It is true. Attack Ishmael. My intent was not to injure, but to subdue.
I guess that's fair.
I mean, my understanding is he was in his own home. And didn't you have to break into his home to do that, Mew?
This is true. I may have overstepped some mortal laws in the pursuit of justice. But I stand by my actions as an individual. But I will accept any admonishments in my overstepping as a member of the Sanitation Commission.
I just want to, point out that at the time, we had no idea that was Ishmael's house. It was just a door that he snuck into down in the sewers. Could have been anywhere for all we knew. Sure, in hindsight, yeah, it was Ishmael's place, but at the time, none of us had any idea. There's not like an address box or a driveway, you know what I mean?
It is where the clues led us.
Yes, but our first action as once we've encountered someone there was to attack them, which I feel like isn't the act of a government official and is more the act of a justice-seeking individual. Which, again, I would like to point out, I've got a long history of acting as a justice-seeking individual, but I am also an old soldier, and when I am in the service of the government, I have rules that I have to follow. And I guess my question now for all of us is, are we acting outside the rules or outside the confines of the Sanitation Commission, or are we solely acting as a Sanitation Commission?
Well, I mean, I just want to point out here, I didn't get like an employee handbook or anything like that. I don't really know what like is in bounds or out of bounds. I just know I'm supposed to keep people, under the veil.
Yeah, we don't have a precise remit.
Jack, you teach high school students, do you not?
Yeah.
Is it appropriate for you in that position to, say, randomly attack them?
Well, I mean, in the handbook, it says that you're not supposed to.
You need a handbook to know whether you're not supposed to attack children.
I mean, there are some cases that warrant it.
I'll just say that Mother McCree, at that point, turns to Mew and says, do you need a handbook, or are you comfortable in the assertion that, as the Sanitation Commission, we should not be randomly attacking people?
Mew ponders. He says, in hindsight, a handbook may have been helpful. I will follow any rules given to us in our auspices as the Sanitation Commission going forward, during the time that I am acting as a member of the Sanitation Commission.
Absolutely, and that is my point as well.
Okay, maybe instead of trying to sort out our technicalities first, maybe we should be trying to figure out how concerned we need to be about what's going on, and then figure out how we want to approach from there.
By my estimation, we've kind of hamstrung figuring that out by acting overzealous in this situation. I fear that the government is already not going to allow us to speak too much more with Mr. Ishmael anymore going forward, as long as he has to live.
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone's going to be speaking with Ishmael anymore, but this whole thing isn't lining up for me. I mean, you guys said he asked to be brought in, right? Like he asked to be brought to the court?
Oh, yeah, for sure. A couple times, actually.
In the process, of course, during that process, he also made a point of speaking to the magistrate and informing them of our misdeeds and having them chastised quite a bit for that.
Yeah, I was there for that bit. But here's the thing. He must have known, right, that it wasn't going to go well for him because of his prior crimes. Regardless of, however he wanted to thumb his nose at the sanitary committee, they weren't going to just, shake his hand and let him out again. I mean, he must have known that his life was going to be forfeit. So why did he want to be brought there?
Well, on that front, I have no answer, though I'm not sure if the answer is within the purview of this committee. Now, if we'd like to discuss this as regular people, as we are at a barbecue, I can speculate and say that I think he's got something planned related to these sigils and whatnot.
I would agree.
I don't think he's planning on dying.
No, I think both he and other members of the government know more than they're certainly telling us about what he was up to and this chimeric script. And I don't know. I'm just a little worried that something's going to become very problematic, and I'd rather know about it ahead of time or stop it rather than dealing with the fallout.
Agreed. If the chimeric script is involved, then I will be.
Does anyone know more about the script than what we already know? I believe now is time to put the cards on the table, as it were.
Okay, my card's on the table. I know jack shit about that.
Yeah, I think I know less than jack shit. But I think my uncle knows some more, maybe.
I think your uncle may as well, but I'm not sure he's going to share it with any of us.
All I know is its interest to certain unsavory parties in Salem's past, and my own.
Is this something they'd be looking into over at the Atheneum?
Mew looks to Amal. Does Amal happen to know any active projects, or maybe not active projects, but if there are specific resources on the chimeric script there?
Amal thinks for a second and says, I think maybe Natalie said something about it one time. We could ask her.
Who is this Natalie? Mew visibly bristles.
He his body language gets kind of contrite, like that thing where you need to give your boss some bad news. You don't really know how to frame it. She's a member of the Ordo Atheneum.
Mew swishes his tail. I think I would like to talk to this Natalie.
Amal thinks again, tries to put something delicately, and sort of leans down and whispers, remember how you're not allowed to go there anymore?
Make it happen, please.
Oh.
We do not have to meet there. We can meet at the Bell, Book, and Candle. Or coffee, excuse me.
So Amal reaches into his pocket, and he takes his cell phone out, and as he is taking the cell phone out of his pocket, it rings. What do you think Amal's ringtone is, Braden?
Some kind of modern, Arabic hip hop beat thing.
Okay, all right. Yeah, he's got some Arabic language hip hop. Okay, cool. So that happens, and he sort of is a little bit phased because he was just taking the cell phone out. Now it's ringing, and he answers the phone and says, "Hello." Now? Really? Okay, I'll let him know. And he puts he closes the phone and cancels the call, and he looks at Mew again and says, "Perhaps we should speak privately."
Mew walks off to another corner of the yard.
Okay, so and so this is happening on your front yard, right?
Yeah, in the driveway.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So Mew, the cat, and Amal walk over to a far corner of the yard, and Amal gets down and is like talking like in close to Mew's face so that nobody else can hear.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm going to listen in.
Yeah, I figured somebody would.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have the ability to and is going to
This
use
is resoundingly rude, so she's not having it.
Truly just has very good hearing, so
mm-hmm.
If she happens to hear, she's definitely not going to move further away.
I think it's gonna require some sort of supernatural capacity, but we know that Mother McCree can do that pretty directly.
Yeah. Do I need to roll it or
no? It's a pretty basic use of your abilities.
Yeah.
I've messaged it's in the Slack. So so that's happening. Mother McCree is listening to it. I don't know if she's listening in an obvious or a non-obvious way.
Oh, I mean, she's got a scowl on her face and she's like angrily eating her hardtack and drinking her coffee. And it's less like obvious that she's listening and more obvious that she's annoyed. And if you know her, you know she could be listening, and she probably is. That's probably what it is.
So she doesn't have to point her rifle in that direction to channel it, does she?
No.
All right. The conversation is brief, and the two rejoin, and Amal is texting on his phone.
He returns, and Mother McCree gives him a look like, that was incredibly rude. Would you like to share anything else with the group? Our friend.
Just some business.
Oh, some business. Oh, that's fine. It's amazing what we can do with this wonderful technology you have today.
You should get one. This is Amal.
Over my dead body, child.
And when will that be? He says under his breath.
Again, she hears you and she just adjusts her walking stick.
So Amal says, all right, I've texted Natalie and asked her when we could perhaps have a conversation at Bellbook and Candle.
Coffee.
Bellbook and Coffee. Now, see, I'm going to keep doing that over and over again.
Yeah.
The mistake once, make it a million times. Is there anything else we want to cover in this little deliberation?
I just want to clarify, if we're meeting with someone to discuss the nature of these runes, are we doing so as members of the Sanitation Commission or concerned citizens? Not to beleaguer the point, but I think it's important.
I think this is well within our purview.
Yeah, I think the cat's right. If it really is something that, is going to bring some harm to this community, that's going to be under the Sanitation Committee's, umbrella, for lack of a better word.
And it's related to an open case.
Although I think that case is dead now.
Yeah, I'm not so sure the case is open much anymore, but...
Paper's not stamped. Case is still open. That's a rule that I just made up.
Ishmael is still alive.
I mean, that we know of. We left.
True. You've been around Mew long enough to notice that he will bring up words like purview and purloin and words like that, specifically to not emphasize the purr.
So he's like the anti-Eartha Kit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right. So you're waiting for a text from Natalie, and you're grilling up. Is it any clearer what's being grilled there, Jeff?
Coach eventually forms the larger pink stuff into what look like hamburger patties. So he's just cooking them up. It takes a long time for the coal to get ready and for him to start actually cooking, though. It's probably a good hour after we start our meeting. So, and he's also got way too much meat for the group. It looks like he could feed 4 times as many people that are actually standing around here. And he's just sort of absentmindedly dealing with it. He's not super focused on it. He just, throws a couple on when he gets a chance and flips them when he gets a chance. And, they're not in a special, he's not babying anything while he's cooking. And if anybody actually has a bite, it's a really good, well-cooked burger is what it tastes like.
Mew definitely has some. Amal has a bun with some mustard. Are there buns?
There are buns.
Okay.
There are buns, there are condiments, and there is American cheese.
Yeah, 8-Ball's going to dive into that.
Mother McCree continues to eat hardtack.
Turtle will have a burger. She thinks about asking what it's, what the meat is from, but she does not ask what the meat is from.
While people are beginning to eat and Mew has had his first couple of bites, Amal somewhat pointedly shows Mew the screen of his phone.
Mew looks up at Amal and says, "Will you wrap this, please?" Regarding the remainder of his burger.
Mm-hmm.
Do you boys have something you want to share with the class?
I'm afraid not. This has been, honestly, I can say, very pleasant. I hope to see you all again quite soon, but I have some pressing business. I bid you all a good evening.
Well, see you later, Kat. Yeah, let us know if you hear anything.
Amal wraps up the burger. Is Amal going with you?
Amal actually hesitates, I think, and is going to say, if it's all right, I'll take this back to the cottage and I'll help the group a little longer, make the introductions with Natalie.
Yeah, we do have an outstanding Atheneum case, too. Might be able to work those together.
Ooh, yes. Amal kind of brightens up at that. He's real interested in that. Mew stands. He's still turned away, but his head is turned back to the group and says very pointedly, "Good evening," and walks off into the dark.
So the group is the majority of the group then is probably just going to go to the Atheneum, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now that we have someone who can get us past the dogs.
There you go.
What dogs?
Amal is...
Oh yeah, they have like ghost dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, they kind of chased us off when we went last time.
Never been to the Atheneum. Sounds like a cool place.
It is.
Yeah, do you know about the ghost dogs?
Does Amal know about the ghost dogs?
He's been there a bunch of times. He's probably poked around close to where he shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Do the ghost dogs show up then?
Well, Amal knows some people at the Atheneum, and he's like, maybe not buddy with them, but so I think he knows enough to be like, well, the ghost dogs only show up if you break some of the taboos or, mess around where you're not supposed to be, right?
Yeah, we went up on the roof.
Oh, that'll get the ghost dogs for sure.
There's a thing. What was on the roof? It was like a contraption, right?
I think contraption is a good term for it.
Yeah, there was like a contraption on the roof. A lot of bits.
Contraption, huh? That sounds like maybe Antigone. I mean, she's the one who builds stuff, really.
Yeah, not my field.
Anyway, let's see if I can make some introductions.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to be rude.
All right, so the balance of the party will head to the Atheneum. The Atheneum is this very fancy-ish sort of Greco-Roman revival style building. It's in a neighborhood. It's not super far from where Coach lives. I mean, it's a walkable distance. It's not by any means nearby, but it's, not that far away. It's night, obviously, so not open. But Amal goes up to the front door and he there's a knocker, like a nice polished knocker, and he sort of thinks for a second, puts his tongue out like he's trying to remember something, and he knocks in a very specific pattern, like da 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 da. The last few duts are a little bit lacking in confidence, but eventually the door swings slowly open with a big creak. It's one of those extra wide doors. Just and standing there is an older man, maybe late 50s, early 60s, relatively short, slight, a man of African descent. He has large round glasses, and he's wearing a set of white robes, and he says, "Amal, what are you doing here? And at this hour? And with these people?" So, Braden, how do we want to handle this? Because this is a situation where Amal knows some people that maybe you're not as familiar with, but I don't want to cut you out of he is your NPC, so I don't want to just cut you out of the characterization entirely.
I mean, I can, since Mew is off screen, I can handle most of the personality stuff, maybe.
Sure.
And you can, if you want to fill in any knowledge. I assume this is Suleiman Nauer.
Oh no, this is
okay.
This is Good Hope Okafor is his name.
Does he have a Title, doctor, professor?
Doctor. Almost everybody at the Atheneum is a doctor of something.
Oh, Dr. Okafor. This is a pleasant surprise. I had come here to talk with Natalie. Is she about?
I believe that she was helping Madame Mystere with something. They seemed quite busy about this or that. I can never tell with those three. Do you want to come inside? I could make some tea.
Of course, that would be lovely. Dr. Okafor, may I introduce Mother McCree, Jack Foxglove.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
8 Ball.
A pleasure.
And Truly Reynard.
Hi.
Dr. Okafor gives a very short bow to each of you in turn and says, Mother McCree, of course, your reputation precedes you. It's an honor to have a member of your coven as a guest in the Atheneum. Welcome, welcome. Good Master Foxglove, thank you for gracing our humble edifice of inquiry.
Happy to. He's a little bit like, doesn't quite know how to take that, but he'll take it.
And Ms. 8-Ball and Reynard, welcome.
How big is this place, Kelly? I'm having trouble figuring the size of it.
Yeah, like the size of a very large house.
Okay.
So an Atheneum is, I mean, the front here, the thing that is real, right? The real world thing that this is a private library. One of these old, it was like a membership based thing when it was first established. So think about it like someone built an estate house and filled it with books. And there's also like a public sort of meeting room where they have lectures. But it's not really or at least the front part is not really a house anymore. It's not a residence.
Right.
It's a private library.
So it's got a big, wide staircase, big double doors, and some columns.
So like a smallish mansion.
Yeah, a smallish mansion.
Yep.
Exactly.
And it's in a neighborhood where all the other buildings are smallish mansions like that.
Yeah, it's a very fancy old residential area of Salem. So, Dr. Okafor, since you've accepted his offer of tea, leads you back into, down a hallway, around the staircase, through some rooms. Very, very classical old money New England art on the walls. Everything feels late colonial in its aesthetic. Pictures of boats and the sea and whatnot. But eventually you reach the kitchen and he puts the kettle on and he gets out a tin with some nice tea inside of it and starts spooning it into a kettle. So, what is it you wanted to talk to Natalie about?
Amal hisses in through his teeth.
8-Ball interrupts. So, we've got a couple points of business. I don't know if you are totally aware. We're a committee for the government, and we have a couple issues we need to check up on.
We're actually looking about the chimeric script. We heard that Natalie knows something about it, so we're gonna talk to her.
And also, there's the thing with the lights.
Yes, I believe that is one of her interests. I'm sure she'd be happy to answer whatever questions you have. We are all about sharing information here at the Atheneum. Now, lights, you said. What lights?
That's kind of our question. There have been some reports from the general public of some unusual, specifically it's phrased as an aurora borealis around here.
Well, that would be quite odd. This part of the world, this time of year. Well, let me see if anyone else would know anything about that. He goes over to a little box on the wall that's like it's a little brass box with, make sure that I've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, with 8 different little polished brass buttons on it. There are no labels. There's just 1 through 8. And he just starts at the top and says, some strange lights around the Atheneum. Anybody know what that could be about? There's some faint crackling on the other end, but no answer comes back. Goes down to the second button and says, there have been some reports of some strange lights. If that involves you in any way, perhaps there are some people who would like to talk to you about it. And the second intercom button, there's a crackling and a female voice come back and says, I bet that's me. Sorry. I bet that's me. You can send them up to my workshop. Says, as I should have suspected, it seems that Dr. Fell may be involved here. Let me show you where to find her. Would you like to have tea first, or?
We should probably hop to business.
Oh, that's too bad. It's excellent rooibos tea, but another time. He leads you through the other exit from the kitchen, and then back through a corridor, and back in a back set of steps, and definitely Mother McCree is feeling this. Maybe somebody else who's like specifically spatial aware, but definitely you're feeling this, Mother McCree. Yeah, the angles in this place don't line up.
Sure.
At some point you crossed from this works in normal conventional 3-dimensional space to now this, like, these pieces don't fit together anymore. But up the back steps, and there is down another hall. At the end of the hall, there is a door like the bulkhead on a ship, right? It's like a big metal door, rectangular but with rounded edges, enormous hinges on one side, and one of those wheels you have to turn in order to open it. And Dr. Okafor walks up to it and then sort of stops short and just gestures at it and says, young Master Foxglove, would you mind... my old hands, the arthritis. I hate opening this door.
Oh, okay. Sure. And Jack will take a spin at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's the wheel that you turn on the bulkhead of a ship in order to open the door.
Okay.
It takes a little bit of oomph in order to get it going, but then it gets going. I mean, it's not especially hard to open or anything. Certainly not for Jack. It swings open, and inside is like... Yeah, it's a mad scientist workshop. That's what it is. There's pickled things in jars and strange whirring machines that it's not obvious what they do. And every once in a while, something throws off an arc of electricity here and there. There's like half-built contraptions all around on a couple of different work tables. And there's a young-ish... maybe like late 20s, early 30s by appearance. White woman with long blonde hair and a ponytail, just sort of get it out of the way, right? Very efficient. She's wearing, like sensible shoes and long slacks and one of those big, long rubber apron things and giant black rubber gloves that go all the way up her arms, almost to the armpits on both sides. She's got goggles on that she's clearly just put up over her forehead, and says, okay, so you're here about the lights?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. That's on me. I didn't get the calibration quite right, and we were throwing off photons like nuts. But I fixed it. It shouldn't happen again. She talks too loud.
Well, just, keep it down, right? There's a whole city out there, people watching. You know what that means.
I know. I was at the meeting. I know you're supposed to be helping us make sure we don't get found out or anything. Nobody wants any more hangings around here, for sure. I apologize.
Are you the person who's got the, the
contraption?
Yeah, the boondoggle up on the roof.
Yeah, that's part of it. But like I said, I fixed the calibration. That shouldn't be a problem anymore.
Can I ask, like what is it? What are you trying to do?
Oh, would you like to see my work? She gets all sort of like giddy and like she's excited about showing it to somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as nobody else is going to see the work in the neighborhood.
No, I said I got the calibration right. I promise. So she goes over to one of the work tables, big long work table. It's got a sheet over it, and there's a whole bunch of big, thick cables that are running up from the floor and from like holes in the wall, and some of them are. Looks like she like cut extra holes in the wall in order to run the cables through. It's all these cables that go under the sheet, and she goes to the head of the table and she pulls back the sheet like she's a magician revealing her trick. And underneath it, there's an assemblage of metal and wire and some glass, like there's some like tube type light bulb sort of things, mostly metal though. That's roughly in the shape of a humanoid. It's got a head, it's got arms and legs, probably about 6 feet tall if it was standing up. She says, I haven't quite finished it yet, but it's almost there.
I'm sorry, is that a robot?
Says, robot is a science fiction term. It was coined by this obscure Eastern European writer. No. This is a golem. A golem that runs on ether and electricity.
Oh, no.
Maul is nodding approvingly.
Truly just kind of looks around at the other members of the committee. Hey, Kelly, I have an out-of-character question. What was the name of the doctor who created Ishmael? Did he have a name?
Did we give him a
I
name?
don't know if we gave
I'm not
him a
sure
name.
we did.
It wasn't Fel.
I just wanted to make sure it wasn't
Fel.
Was it Dr.
Okay.
Fel? It was some other doctor.
There is a Dr. Fel, yes, but that wasn't the person who created Ishmael.
Okay.
Or at least we did not designate him as the person who created Ishmael.
But that Dr. Fel and this Dr. Fel are different, right?
Well, I mean, that Dr. Fel was a dude and he was alive about 120 years ago, so...
And I believe he specifically had a funeral.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
I think that's right, yes.
We are in the world of darkness, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wonder if you could explain this to me. I always have a hard time entirely grasping, like, what do you actually want to do with a golem?
She looks at Truly like there was at least once in Truly's life, she was out and about in the wide world, just fitting in, looking normal, wearing the mask that she wears in order to just be about. And something went wrong. There was she was caught off guard or really surprised by like a loud bang or something.
Mm-hmm.
And her guard dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody, like some mundane person, was able to see her as she actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Fel looks at Truly like that. Like shock, confusion, dismay.
Sorry, are my ears showing?
Well, if I create him, then he will be.
Mm-hmm. And the desire to do that stems from... She sort of gestures towards Dr. Fel, like, fill in the blank.
It seems like you've given a lot of thought as to whether you can do something and not as much thought as whether you should.
Oh, you saw that movie too.
Movie?
Unlife finds a way.
A very astute observation, young 8-Ball.
Our order is devoted to the questions of what we can and can't do, and moving from the latter column to the former column.
Are you familiar with a member of our community named Ishmael?
She nods and drums her fingers on the table a little bit. Of course I am. I understand. A little bit of a boogeyman around here because he lit some fires a long time ago.
Lit some fires, child. I was there. He hurt a lot of people, and he almost destroyed the whole specter of who we are.
Well, I'm not...
Maybe let's not downplay the burning of the entire citizenry.
Look, I'm not here to to defend or castigate anyone. I'm merely a student of the universe devoted to stretching the limits of what is possible. You of all people must see the beauty in the creation of something truly new.
Me of all people.
Yeah, I think you might be talking to the wrong woman.
Child,
Yeah, new things are not really her bag.
I have seen nothing but death and destruction for all of my days as a result of this kind of tomfoolery. And you do what you're going to do, but be aware that if this gets out of hand, we're the ones who are going to have to clean up after it. Sanitation Commission and all.
No, I assure you, I'm a very responsible student of the universe. I will not be causing any problems for the city. She looks down and sort of gently caresses the face of her robot. Well, I'm afraid that if you can't appreciate his beauty, then there's no point in wasting it on you further.
Well, hold
See
on.
that I made a mistake, and so she's getting her sheet and sort of like
Now,
grumpily putting it back over the.
in terms of dealing with people with unappreciated beauty, that's kind of part of my day job. So 8-Ball fishes out a card and passes it over. So I don't want you to think about how we're gonna react or think of things, but obviously you understand that there are people out there who are gonna react badly to various types of things if exposed. So our job.
Child, let me put it this way. If we reacted adversely and we had to come out here because you're creating some lights in the sky, imagine our reactions when your golem starts walking the streets.
Oh, well, as soon as I've thought about that, of course, in order to function in mundane society, he'll need some sort of she takes out like a screwdriver with it, like just a very generic, one metal prong, one semi-transparent plastic handle, right? Like a totally generic flathead screwdriver. And she turns it by holding the handle and just sort of pressing on the end of the flathead with one finger. And the stem of the screwdriver sort of rotates through space. And as it does, it changes form completely into this like golden tuning fork type thing with a shimmer of radiant energy going over it. And she just sort of prods this area in the chest cavity a little bit. And there's like a flicker and then a quicker flicker. And then the image of like a totally normal and anatomically correct human male with no hair over where the robot was. You see? Presses it again and the image disappears.
Damn. Okay, so back to where we fit in all this. If you need at any point IDs, bank accounts, paperwork sorted out, that's me, that's my job, that's on the card. If you have problems or you predict problems or you see problems coming of a masquerade type nature, do not hesitate to call us. We're not here to shut things down. We're here to clean things up. So if we can stop a problem before it becomes a problem, if we can help you sort out an issue of a social or societal nature, I guess, we're here to do that. We're not here to like yell at people and shut it down and like be the EPA guy from Ghostbusters. That's not us.
Well, thank you. I'll keep this card. I'm sure I'll be in touch.
Great. This is all very cool. Yeah, and if you have any other light situations, just let us know as they come up so that we can, get out in front of things or whatever it is we do when that happens. No one's called us ahead of time yet. But You get it. It's better if we know and can deal than if we don't know.
That makes good sense. Thank you.
And now I think we have another appointment.
Yeah, though as they're walking out of the room, Truly's just gonna like stop and turn around and say, by the way, what's his name?
She looks at you quizzically and says, he hasn't told me yet.
Well, most children don't tell their parents their name.
She gestures at the now recovered, so like just, contraption lying underneath a sheet. Does this look like a child?
I mean, he's gonna have been alive for no time, and then a very small period of time. So in that respect, I would argue what he looks like doesn't really matter.
I'm sure that he'll know what I should call him when he wakes up.
Okay, then.
We look forward to finding out.
Okay, so get out of Antigone Fell's workspace, and that's sort of like, oh, right. Good old Okafor is nowhere to be found, so now you're just kind of loose in the building. Like, no one's monitoring you, so you can go wherever you want, but also you don't have a tour guide anymore.
I mean, we have them all.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but so Amal is definitely like, this is deeper than he usually gets, right? He's like, okay, check out the books, maybe have some tea.
The books, the table, the tea, a lecture now and then.
Are we still in weird space, or are we in a more mundane space of this building?
You're definitely still in weird space.
Yeah, so it's the access to these places is within some sort of bizarre spatial.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably actually not unlike the situation with the Sistren's huts.
Yeah.
Right? They're kind of there and not there,
Yeah. So I would like to lead us back to normal space before we can figure out where we're actually going. It makes more sense to do that.
Sure. I mean, that, again, that's completely in Mother McCree's wheelhouse. So I think you can just do that. You want to kind of get out of distorted and back to normalcy. Sure.
Right. Yeah. Because I figure that's where we'll get back to Okafor anyway. So yeah. So she's just gonna take in true Mother McCree fashion. She's just going to assume everyone's going to follow her. So she just takes the lead and starts walking in a very specific and very clear direction.
Okay. You do that.
I guess we're going this way.
It's not back the way that you came. It's down a different hallway and down a set of those like the spiral stairs where it's just just metal grates, right? And then down a different hallway, and you end up back at the main entryway where like the front door was, and there's the big central staircase, and off the other hallway that you didn't go down, not the hallway, but like the space that opens off of that you didn't go into is like a little sitting room. And Good Hope Okafor is there. He's reading a book and drinking some tea, and says, "Oh, did you get what you came for?"
We got the lights taken care of. We still need to see Lee.
And I'm gonna get some of that rooibos.
First of all, Good Hope Okafor gestures to one of the nicely upholstered chairs next to where he is sitting. And he has a little tea tray, and his teapot is there, and there are a couple of extra cups, so he starts pouring some for Amal. Well, I know that she was helping Madame Mystere, and they didn't answer the intercom before. You could probably just go up and see if they can talk to you.
Okay, now when you say up, does that mean... Does up work like up here? I got kind of lost a minute ago.
I'll tell you what, just take the elevator. He reaches out his right hand and sort of wiggles his fingers a little bit at the large fire hearth that's in this parlor room that he's sitting in. And the whole thing swings forward, and behind it there's one of those pocket elevators, with the little cage door you pull across. He gestures at that.
Amal takes a tea and saucer with him, and I'll bring this back. Thank you.
Does the, just generally, does the elevator shaft sense that it is going through normal space, or is it going to go through some weird space?
I mean, there's bells going off for space magic. This whole thing, right?
Sure.
I mean, that the fireplace hearth did that is already like, okay, yeah,
Okay.
normalcy is out the window.
Okay.
So presumably you get in the elevator.
Yeah, 8-Ball's gonna let at least Mother McCree get on first.
Oh, I mean, at this point, if it's clear where she's going, Mother McCree is fine with taking the lead anytime, and will do so.
Okay, you pull back the cage and get in the elevator. It is tight. 5 people is definitely the outermost limit of what this elevator can accommodate, just space wise, right? Just it's a small box.
Or can it?
There's a set of buttons on the wall that's similar to the intercom that you saw in the kitchen. And once you're inside and maybe looking a little bit quizzically, Good Hope doesn't look up from his book but says it's the top button.
Mother McCree presses the top button.
Truly's going to take kind of like a slow breath in and out before she gets in. And she's going to stand next to 8-Ball so that she can kind of discreetly take her hand as they go up.
8-Ball definitely like gives her hand a squeeze.
Very good.
Oh, by the way, Amal says as we're in the elevator, if you guys see anything that you want to check out for a little while, I'm a member. I can check it out for you.
Mother McCree presses the button. The hearth swings closed. Everything is black for a second. And then there's like a strobe light effect and the feeling of motion, but the motion is not particularly directed. And some things blur past the corner of your eyes, like those floaty things you get and you can never quite look at them, right? And then
as this is going on, Mother McCree senses Truly's uncomfortableness, and she's just saying, "There's no earthly way of knowing which way we are going."
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask, is this like the elevator version of the Willy Wonka boat ride?
Bell dings, and it was just blackness in front of the hearth closed, right? So it was just blackness, just a black, dark wall in front. The blackness, like the light level rises just a bit, not a lot, and you can sort of see that there's a room beyond now. It's a room that's dimly lit by, it looks like torchlight. That's the quality of light, like actual fires burning. And the cage door slides back. In the room, it's a large open room with several archways. So there's stuff further beyond. The room looks like it's made out of carved stone blocks. It's very, very self-consciously Egyptian in style. There's that classical Egyptian eye image all over the place. There's a big 10-foot tall statue of Anubis that goes from the floor to the ceiling. Like its head is just right up against the ceiling. Yeah.
Mother McCree steps confidently out of the elevator.
Truly definitely gets out of the elevator.
There are braziers set into the walls along the 4 walls of the room. It is roughly a square room. And that's where the light's coming from. Through one of the archways, you can hear some faint, sort of hurried discussion. But it's definitely not easy to make out.
Hello?
Shh, wait.
All right.
Truly's gonna head towards the archway without making noise to see if she can overhear what's going on before they announce themselves.
She heads out. So 8-Ball calls out. Truly sneaks up to the archway and gets just close enough that she can see there's another room beyond that archway that's similarly very dimly lit, which is why you can't see through it very well. But it's just another room, similar light, similar design, similar lighting style. But just enough to see 2 figures that are both wearing all black, so hard to make out in the darkness, coming towards her out of the archway. And I think that her eyesight is probably good enough that she can get out of the way, but just barely.
Okay.
Right? She almost collides with these 2 people who are coming from other room. And the people who are coming out of the other room are Madame Mystere, who we have seen before, a self-consciously gothic witch with a somewhat like a little bit of a old European vibe to her. And immediately behind her, and sort of like she's got a pad out and she's writing things down, is a younger woman with light brown hair, but a fairly similar aesthetic, and especially like looks like she's wearing like white cake makeup and then black makeup over that. That's Natalie. So Madame Mystere.
Madam McCree.
She doesn't give a lot of acknowledgement. Like she's like, they come through the archway and she turns and immediately goes, through into the next archway. Right. So it's like, think about this room as having 4 openings, one of which is the elevator. Mm-hmm. She comes out of one and turns at, makes a right hand or left hand turn and goes through the next archway. But Natalie, although she's following along behind and taking notes, looks askance and does acknowledge the other people in the room, and especially at Amal, and says, "Amal, what are you doing here?" She doesn't stop, but she's like, "Oh, what's going on?"
First of all, love it. this whole thing. Wish I'd got the invite earlier. Second, we've got some issue possibly with chimeric script.
In order to get all that out, you have to sort of follow after her as she goes into the next room.
Yeah.
And the next room is same sort of design, similar construction, big statue of Sobek in it, similar to the statue of Anubis in the previous one. But this is like a bedroom. So, the design is similar. The components are similar, but there's like a bed, there's a desk, there's a big dresser. It becomes apparent that Madame Mystere is giving instructions to Natalie on like, I need this and I need that. And it's a list, and she's compiling a list of objects that she needs for something. So her attention is at best like 1/4 on Amal, 3/4 on Madame Mystere, while she busies about trying to keep up with her and follow her instructions.
How weird is the list?
Weird. There are like some very conventional spell ingredients, I mean, Eye of Newt, Wing of Bat kind of stuff. But then also like that shawl that I loaned you 3 months ago, and make sure you get the large amphora. Don't go for the medium size. I need the big ones for this project. Stuff like that.
I think Amal, as kind of a familiar, is sort of half already taking notes on these as he's going along as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 8-Ball sort of just kind of hangs back enough to like signal that we should let them finish.
When you have a second.
Okay, if you give them some space, they sort of finish up in that room, and eventually Madame Mystere comes back into the central room, still does not acknowledge the group, and goes into the side room that they originally came out of, right? The room that Truly was about to enter before. Natalie comes back in and says, "Okay, I've got to actually get all this stuff together that she told me to get. So what's up? You had a question about the chimeric script?"
Yeah. Okay. So there's been a murder, possibly more, of some mortals. I'm not sure how many. There was a bunch of remains. Anyway, there was some chimeric script on them. Ishmael's involved.
Ishmael. Well, I mean, if Ishmael was involved, you should ask Antigone, because he's her boyfriend. He's very like pissy about it.
Dish.
Oh, he's been over like 3 times, I think, in the last 2 months, because she's working on her thing that we're not supposed to call a robot. And I guess he had like some pointers because, someone made him and she's trying to make somebody. So you get it.
Okay.
I know that he's interested in the chimeric script. So you think that he wrote it on like some bodies?
Well, someone did.
Some bones of the bodies, more specifically.
Bones. That's interesting. Oh, could be very interesting, actually. Who?
Not sure. Pretty ordinary mortal, for one. Not sure where the other parts came from.
Well, do you know the mortal's family tree?
Didn't look into that.
Sometimes a mortal is not just a mortal, you know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
There is the imperious sound of a throat being cleared from the other room, which somehow, despite the fact that the voices before barely carried a murmur, is crystal clear in this room. And Natalie says, "Look, I've got to get back to it. Madame Mysterie's about to go on this trip, and I've got to get everything ready for her to leave. So, I'd say see if you can figure out if there was something important about this mortal."
Good plan.
That's my best guess.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Oh, and tell Madame Mysterie thanks for the gig.
Child, don't tell her.
True. That'd be gauche.
Okay, one more quick clarification before we go. Why would someone inscribe chimeric script onto a body?
Well, no one really understands what it's for exactly or what it does precisely. But when I asked about who their ancestor was, I was thinking more a question of not who would have inscribed it on their body, but how would it have gotten there without anybody inscribing it there? Really, I've got to get this stuff together. And she goes back into the Sobek room.
Oh.
So like he didn't put it there. Maybe it was already there. And that's why he removed the bone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But wasn't there, there was, but there were books and stuff,
There
right?
were books.
It wasn't just on his bones where we saw the
he
script.
wrote it in blood.
It was very clear that Ishmael has been studying the chimeric script. That was transparent from what was lying around in his house. Yes. But the thing, the standout object that had the chimeric script on it was that sternum bone.
Right. But also, as Jeff said, the things at the murder site were also chimeric script, correct?
Yeah, but that's like, it was just blood. That was the blood was writing out things in the chimeric script. That's true. Yeah.
Are there people that can read the chimeric script, or is it like no one can really read it? We don't exactly know what it's for. We just know it keeps showing up.
If someone was going to be able to read it in your Rolodex, it would have been Natalie, and she just said no one really knows what it's for.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if someone can read it, that's not widely known.
And Kelly, just because Mother McCree has been in the town for so long, I can't remember the guy's name. It was very mundane. Robert Jones or something. What was it? It was something very basic. The victim's name.
Like Bob Stevenson?
Yeah, I think that's
right. I believe it was Bob Stevenson. Yep.
Does she know anything about like the Stevenson family?
Stevenson family.
Was there a Stevenson family in the last few generations? Have they been in town for a long time?
Trying to think of if there's like a memory roll I can have you make.
It'd be a history?
Sure.
History?
Yeah, make a history roll. That's fine.
Oh, there isn't history.
Academics would be history.
Thanks a lot.
Academics,
Thanks a lot, New World of Darkness.
Politics.
It really would depend on if he was. Let me. And I know this kind of tips your hat. If he was a political figure, I would roll politics. If he was you know what I mean? Like,
right. No, I see what you mean.
And if he was none of those things, then streetwise
investigation.
I don't think that Mother McCree is in a position to know off the top of her head something about this guy or the name Stevenson.
Okay.
Because I'm not saying that there's nothing to know, but it's not something that I can think of a reason why she would know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's really all I need.
Given the fact that she's, not very tuned in to...
No, she's just been here for a long time. And and if if his great grandfather was the mayor, she would know him. But if his great grandfather, okay,
No, nothing like that. And definitely the name Stevenson does not ring any bells.
okay, that's
Dang. Wish I could text Mew. He might know.
So, do y'all think we should go back to the robot lady? I think maybe we should go back to the robot lady.
Antigone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Given that we just found out her boyfriend's on death row?
Yeah, she might want to know that.
Yeah, let's go have a quick chat down there.
If that's the plan, Mother McCree will lead a direct line to this place and won't bother trying to get back and go back.
Oh, okay. She wants to like give the direct route.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be a roll.
Okay.
Roll that for me.
So am I gonna roll space plus what?
Yeah, space, wits.
Okay. Space and wits is fine.
Yeah. No, there should be a third thing. There should be a skill.
That's right.
Occult?
Academics?
I mean, occult. It's pretty generic, but
Survival?
Survival would be more orienteering.
Yeah.
sure. I'll do with survival space. That sounds good.
3 successes.
3 successes. Okay. So Madame Mystere is still in the other room. Natalie goes back into the Sobek room. Mother McCree looks around. She presses one of the stones in the wall and it slides back about 6 inches. And then a hole opens up in the floor a little bit to the left of that, where luckily no one is standing. And you go down a ladder cut into the stone, and you're in sort of a big tube made out of metal, like a little bit like the sewer, I guess, except that it's very clean, and there's a gentle whirring noise in the background. You go down that a little ways, and that leads to a hatch, and you open the hatch and you come out, and you're back in that hallway with the entrance to Antigone's workshop on it.
Just one more question.
So the door is closed again.
I was just saying, we still have to do the massive latch door.
Mm-hmm.
Jack?
I'll just spin it.
So this time, the door is very, very not openable.
Oh.
Right? Like before it was, it's just like you turn the wheel. This time you try to turn the wheel and nothing happens. And you try to turn the wheel a little harder and nothing happens.
I think she got it locked.
Is there a porthole, like window in the door?
Yeah, like a cloudy one.
Mother
I was
McCree.
going to knock on it. Tap, tap, tap.
I was gonna say Mother McCree goes to knock and then actually goes, Jack, why don't you do this?
I just knock.
Okay. You knock
You know, a
Maybe
good
knock
hard knock, you
a
know.
couple times. Yeah, good.
You'd
hard-
have to on a door like this.
Yeah. Eventually, you know, the image is the glass or whatever it is cloudy enough that it's not really easy. You can sort of see motion. You can't really see in the workshop, but eventually, like you can see a face, or at least the eyes of a face, real up close on the window on the other side, and there's like a buzzing noise, and then with a little bit of static in the background, Antigone's voice comes through the other side of the door from no apparent location and says, "Yes."
Yeah, we have some kind of emergency follow-up questions.
I've already answered your questions, and you were not particularly nice about it.
Someone you know might be about to die?
She narrows her eyes a little bit, says, a lot of people I know I don't like.
Yeah, someone just called him your boyfriend.
She cocks her head to one side and sort of slaps, like, you were talking to Natalie, weren't you? That bitch. Her eyes move back from the panel, and the door the wheel spins on its own and swings back. Jack, presumably you have to sort of get out of the way.
Okay, easy.
She's standing there again, still looking basically like she was before. Look, he's not my boyfriend. I asked him for his professional opinion on a few things. It's a good source of information. But Ishmael's about to die, you said?
It's looking like kind of a possibility. Yeah, there's a whole, he might have been responsible for some murders, and they have been kind of looking for an excuse, and he's in custody, and maybe there's some whole death row stuff going on. Yeah.
Kelly, did she open the door?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I search the room for the chimeric script?
Oh, like you just want to like sort of do the thing you did before. Yeah, just to look around. Use your powers to look around.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make a roll for that. While you're rolling for that, I'll continue the conversation though. She thinks and says, "Wait a second, you mean that the court's got it?"
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean that was going to happen eventually. So he's going to be executed.
That seems to be the case. Yeah.
All right. So they'll have to do that in public. So that should be something fascinating to watch. I don't honestly know what'll happen when he dies. This could be a very interesting research opportunity.
Okay, so it's that kind of relationship. Got you. So there might be some other related issues that we've been looking into. Have you talked to him about chimeric script?
I mean, he talks to everybody he talks to about the chimeric script, but I don't really listen. That's more sort of Natalie's thing. That's why she's such a jealous bitch about the fact that he wanted to talk to me and not to her. But whatever.
Okay, he came to you to talk about stuff.
Well, I think that there was a natural professional interest. You know, somebody made him. I'm trying to make somebody. What'd you get, Ethan?
4.
Yeah, it's not in the room. There's a lot of stuff in the room, but there's no evidence of the chimeric script.
Okay, did he talk to you about anything that might now, in hindsight, be jumping out as possibly murder related or terrifying occult ritual related?
Or suicidal?
Or that?
You know, mostly I was interested in talking with him about where his origins were and what the source of the animating power behind his existence was. And we did a couple of experiments on that. He talks about something called the Kashbalim, and the way he puts it, they're like angels, but I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So I think it's all wrapped up in the chimeric script as far as he's concerned, but I kind of grayed out on those parts because they didn't really have to do with what I was interested in. I'm more interested in the direct inquiry about, this force as it relates to this principle. He's a little bit too wrapped up in the hoodoo.
Sorry, can we go back to the angels for a second?
I mean, we can. I don't think they're very interesting.
Are those a thing that you guys deal with?
It's not really my area of specialization. Like I said, I'm more about the noetic interaction of platonic ideals. But I think that Natalie could probably talk to you about that, or I don't know, maybe Mark. Mark's kind of an angel guy.
Yeah, Marks usually are. Mark who?
Mark Byzantium. It's one of the other... Look, she reaches over to her intercom on the wall and presses the third button and says, "Mark, do you want to talk to some people about angels?" Sort of a pause, and then man's voice on the other end says, "Do I want to talk to some people about angels or some angels about people?" She sort of looks at you and says, "Which one?"
"Well, we're not angels, child."
"Yeah, it's the boring one." "All right, you can send him up." So she points you towards that spiral staircase that you took before, and the going up instead of down this time. You end up in what looks like an artist loft in like a reclaimed factory building, like exposed brick and big heavy wooden beams with metal bolts in them. There's some modern art on the wall, kind of Jackson Pollock-esque, and generally the trappings of like a hipster apartment is sort of the aesthetic here. And there's a guy with longish blonde hair wearing a men's dress shirt and slacks and a skinny tie and his trench coat indoors for some reason. And he's like lounging on a sectional sofa in one corner of this big open format apartment. And he's eating microwave popcorn. Says, yeah, you want to talk about angels?
Yeah. Not really sure where to start. So...
They're gonna kill Ishmael.
Not the angels.
Really? How? Well, I gotta see that. Okay. Well, I know I'm spending my weekend now.
God, this place is weird. So... Okay. We got a couple of things we're trying to sort out. We're not exactly sure what's connected with what, so I'm just gonna make a list, and you tell me if any of it rings any bells. So, we have chimeric script. We have corpses with script on them, possibly originating from them. We have angels as a concept, possibly appearing in a vision somewhere. We have Ishmael. Did I say Ishmael?
Vision.
What did Antigone call the ones that she said? She said he was interested in something and they, they're kind of like angels.
Quashmalim.
Kashbalim.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kashbalim. They say that they created the universe. I don't know. I wasn't there, but that's their whole thing. Pop some more popcorn in his mouth.
They who?
Kashbalim.
You talk with them?
Not personally. They're terrible conversationalists. They're always really laser focused on whatever their one job is. Each of them has one job and they just do that one thing. It's super boring. But that's the story that they tell about themselves, that they created the universe and they're responsible for all generative creativity. That's probably where Ishmael gets his thing about being a child of the Kashbalim.
And if you haven't talked with them, how do you know that's what they say?
He sort of shrugs and says, books. Do you read?
I do, but not those books. Do you have any we could borrow?
Amal's a member.
Yeah. So he reaches like really lazily over to his glass-topped coffee table and he picks up a little spinning top, like the kind you'd get as a prize, like a Cracker Jack box or something like that. And he spins it, and as it spins, the room spins around you. And when the spinning and the blur of it stops, all the furniture is in the same place. He's still in the same place. He's still eating his popcorn, but you're surrounded by a completely circular library, right? Like all the way around, all the walls, floor to ceiling, and the ceiling goes very high here, are books. And it's got those, those rolling ladders that are on the tracks, right? So you can climb up. And he sort of points up, again, super lazily. It's like, that section there is probably where you want to start.
Amal staggers over to the nearest waste paper basket and vomits up some burger bun and mustard.
Yeah, 8-Ball has gone kind of pale-er. Just like, you guys need to warn people when you're going to do that. Because if I throw up, it's going to be mostly blood. And that is going to be very hard to get out of whatever it hits.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Mother McCree just starts climbing a ladder in the area where he's gesturing. Child, just tell me what book to grab.
He, he sort of gestures like, all right, 3 to the left, 1 shelf up. There. Yeah.
She grabs the book and confirms that Amal is done throwing up with just enough time to toss the book down to him.
The Codex Angelicus. That'll get you started.
This might be just more of an aesthetic question. Do your version of angels ever do the like Revelation style, like communal blaring of trumpets and horns kind of thing? Is that like an aesthetic thing that happens?
Oh yeah, did 8-Ball disclose that any of that vision to anybody? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think we went over it last time.
Okay.
Yeah, because Jack tried to sort of
yeah
see what he could interpret.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they're super basic, right? Like, it's exactly what it says on the tin when you think angel. They're all gorgeous flowing locks and bright white wings and golden trumpets and that sort of thing.
Truly tries to take the book from Amal so she can sort of flip through it. What she's sort of looking for is if there's any sort of list of like names. And so the Mark had said that each one does one thing. So something sort of like this one does this thing and this one does this thing.
Oh, is like an index of
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not organized by individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's organized by chorus. So it's more like there's these categories of things, right? There's just leafing through it. It's not a matter of a group where you could have like one page per individual.
Sure.
It's like a matter of you've got a couple of pages per category of who knows how many individuals.
Okay.
So it's like a taxonomy of angels, basically.
Is there a group that's responsible for like languages or writing or something along those lines?
Languages and writing. Let's see. So you start leafing through. There's probably something about language. There's also, though, something about. So Truly has seen the chimeric script at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
She took a picture of it.
It's hard to pin down. It's very hard to understand. I would definitely compare it to like Egyptian before we had the Rosetta Stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very clear that it has an aesthetic. So you see some of it and you probably would recognize it if you saw more of it again, even if it wasn't all the same letters,
Mm-hmm.
but also no clue what it means, right?
Right.
That's the only way I would try and compare. It doesn't look like Egyptian, but I'm just trying to say that's sort of the way in which it feels.
Mm-hmm.
There is a wood block. There's a series of wood block pictures in this codex, and there is a wood block picture that has like a seal on a stone made out. That's the seal is made out of chimeric script.
Is there anything on the picture that like says what it is, or the page before it that says what the picture is?
It's in this. It's not. This is not like a really great, high-end advanced calculus textbook, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like everything lines up,
Right.
but it is an unlabeled illustration in the section on the type of Kashbalim, whose role it is to guard the world against the outermost evils.
Okay. Hey, Mark, you said they're really boring, these guys, but if you did want to talk to one, how would you go about doing that?
He scratches his chin, gets some popcorn butter on his chin doing that. Well, I guess that's the thing. It's funny you asked me that. I feel like I'm getting that question all the time lately. But
oh yeah, who else is that?
He looks a little bit like maybe he shouldn't have said that. And he says, one of those. It was one of the vampires with one of the old-timey names.
Which one?
There's a bunch of them. I can't actually keep all of them straight.
8-Ball rattles off a list of names because she definitely knows all those guys.
Yep. So she's like Anastasios, Irdak, Decimus, Theodric, Roland, Perseus, Persephone, Umberto. Like she's just sort of going down the line. He's like, yeah, Roland. It was definitely a Roland, right? Like, Song of kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
What do I know about that guy?
Roland is one of the vampires who lives in Salem proper. And he's notable for not being a member of the Mayapple Lodge, which a majority of the vampires who live in Salem are. And he's that he's an associate of Theodric. And Theodric is like the oldest and most influential vampire in Salem, who is like on the outs with people, right? Like you don't know the backstory, but something went down between him and Sebastian, and he's like constantly in that Iago Grima Wormtongue kind of situation where it's like he's allowed to hang around, but he's definitely not liked by anybody kind of thing, except for a couple of people who are like his posse, and Roland's one of those guys.
Okay.
So he is also not a member of the Mayapple Lodge, presumably.
That's right. Yep.
So you didn't. So sorry, I think I distracted you a bit, but you didn't actually tell us. Is there a way to contact these guys?
Well, in a dependable way, no. I mean, they're very rigid in the performance of their duties, right? They just exist to do one thing, whatever that one thing is. So if you want to get them off of that track, it's real hard. So you either have to figure out what the one thing is and then be there before they get there to do their thing, or I suppose you could find one of them after they've done their thing and catch them there, right? Or catch their essence after they've completed their appointed task.
Okay. And there are other types of angels?
You mean beside the Kashbalim?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, and then he starts to sort of go through a list, kind of half muttering, half like this. But basically, the gist is, there are ghosts who call themselves angels, and there are some spirits who have angelic-like qualities, and there are some hobgoblin-type entities that have the appearance of being angels in one way or another. There are a lot of things that you could call angels this way or that way, but the Kashbalim are something else, whatever that something is.
Okay. Anyone else got any thoughts or questions?
This is well out of Coach's realm of comfort.
Yeah, same. No, I think we're good. Thanks for your help. 8-Ball hands him a card. If you ever need fake IDs, documentation, bank accounts routed, any of that kind of stuff, that's me. If you're ever having masquerade type problems, that's us. Feel free to get in touch. We don't judge. Thanks.
Yeah. All right. He spins the top the other way. The room spins again, and then it's back to normal. He says, if you're done, I'm going to get back to yelling at Keanu again. Turns the TV back on.
Sounds like a good night.
Is it Constantine?
Maybe. I think for copyright reasons, I'm not going to answer that question.
Kelly, can I just confirm, is there an established date for Ishmael's execution? Or this is all very preliminary?
So executions are very rare in Salem, but you would know, especially Mother McCree being around so long, would know that they have to be announced. The whole community has to be announced, and they have to be public, as in the community has to be able to come and watch them. They're not allowed to be conducted in secret. So hasn't been announced yet, and they would need to give at least a few days after announcing it for exact date, no, but you have a sense of the time scale. Like when Mark said the weekend, that would be about right based on where you are.
Has there been public executions?
Before?
Yeah.
There's definitely been at least one person who has committed such a severe crime against the city that they were deemed, it was deemed like they were too much of a threat. Yes, I'm going to say that has happened before. Right. It's very unusual. It's allowed for in the town constitution.
Okay. It's certainly the kind of things vampires do traditionally.
Sure.
Right. But maybe one or two in the time that Mother McCree has been around.
Okay. I mean,
it's very rare.
It definitely evokes the problems with Salem. So I didn't know how, I didn't know how the supernatural community would react to that. But yeah, okay.
All right. So we have a book for Amal to read.
Yes. The whole Judeo-Christian stuff is kind of a big hole in my education.
Fair.
I'll devour this.
Okay. We've got a couple names to look into. I can probably get a hold of Roland pretty easily. And I think it's getting kind of late at this point. So,
Also, we should check in to make sure we're acting within the purview of our edict, and we don't have any more cases that we need to take care of. We've seemed to have cleared our docket.
we did clear the docket. I'll check in for more cases, and
I'll come with you because I want to talk to Ishmael.
Okay, so maybe we'll go in person. Cool. Yeah, so I guess we got a plan.
Oh, and I gotta get this burger into the fridge.
All right. So let's wrap this up. By check-in, you mean you were going to go to All Hallows Hole? Was that your plan?
It wasn't initially, but given Truly's plans, I think it is now.
Okay. So just as in order to put a button on this episode,
Yeah.
I'm going to say Truly and 8-Ball go to All Hallows Hall in order to see about, their case, about if there's more work basically for the sanitation commission. And as they are entering, Mew is leaving. And just a little bit of foreshadowing here, Braden, so I apologize for putting words in your character's mouth. Mew has the happy news that they have a new mandate.
We have a new mandate.
That's it this week for The Chimera. Our theme music this season is Down Among the Dead Men, performed by Adrienne Howard, Emily Peterson, and Dirk I. Tiede. For information on other music used in this episode, check the show notes. You can support The Chimera by going to patreon.com/chimerapod. Patrons at any amount get access to behind-the-scenes setting and system info, art polls, and exclusive side games and one-shots. You can also find us online at thechimera.space or on Twitter and Facebook at ChimeraPod. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode, so until then, thanks for listening.